AI interpretation of their architecture says, Gurjit Singh Matharoo sees architecture as an emotive art, creating spaces that evoke delight and spiritual upliftment through emotional resonance, not just calculation, using natural light, rough materials, and context driven, labor intensive design for meaningful experiences, blending beauty with sound reason, and an innovative, often playful approach to function and form. In 2013, he was conferred the International Fellow of Royal Institute of British Architects, him being the only third Indian after architect Charles Correa and Balkrishna Doshi to have this honor. Matharu is former chair of architecture design at his alma mater CEPT, where he has been visiting faculty since 1991 and has played a sustained role in hands-on learning pedagogy. His academic portfolio includes over 35 studios in basic design, institutional design, design development, urban insert, and final year project of choice, over 8 studios in interior design public space, and project of choice. He has assisted Piraji Sagra in drawing and painting, Professor Kurula Varkey in urban and vernacular settlements, and Professor M.C. Gajjar in design development and drawing studio. Besides his involvement at CEPT, he is co-founder and mentor of Unique Pan-India Travel Studio from 2015 to 2019 and has also been a part of the Automobile Design postgraduate course at the National Institute of Design. He has been a jury on many international award cycles and has been invited as a keynote speaker to over 20 international conferences worldwide, including USA, Ecuador, New Zealand, Australia, Jordan, Belgium, Spain, to name a few. With the launch of his short story book, Witness to the Matharu Spirit, which means never give up, he has recently turned co-author, a foray into another discipline. So, please join me in welcoming an architect, educator, thinker, and storyteller, Gurjit Singh Matharoo.
Good evening, and it's a very special moment. This is my first time as a speaker in KVDF forum, and it being 25 years old makes it extremely special for me. Professor Chaya has beautifully placed this forum in the gamut of things. Yeah, okay. And nobody could probably explain it better than him. So that solves my problem. In any case, I thought when this call came for the keynote, I thought let me think back and see what I got from Varkey, because everybody has got something or the other from Varkey. And it is this snippets from our time together that I pull out some incidences and share them with you. I profusely want to thank the current KVDF committee. I may not get the convener's name now, for making me go down this memory lane, and that's what the presentation is called, and revisit those connections. So just to be very frank with you, Varkey had many favorite students. Varkey had favorite faculty members. Varkey always had somebody or the other favorite. I was never one of them. So we were doing our office training very peaceful, because the sixth semester before the office training had just gotten over, and it was generally believed that if you cross this threshold, which is Professor Gajjar's working drawing semester, then basically it is smooth sailing after that. And you get into office training. You may have a good office, you may not have a good office. And we were fortunate that we got an office which didn't have any work. We were 4 of us and 0 work. And for some reason, we were paid at least 5 times the stipend that our peers were getting. So there was a lot of money. It was in Bhutan, a beautiful place, and absolutely 0 work. So when we came back, we were thrilled that now we have 2 semesters left. One is of the institutional design, which is the fourth year, first semester, and then you have the project of your choice. And with grandiose ideas about, building airports or some mega projects. We'll come to that in detail. We entered this college. Not much of communication. There was a buzz in the campus that there is a new guy at the helm of things. Earlier, before Varkey, nobody knew who the director was, because they were all practitioners who would come for maybe 2 years, honorary position. They would hardly spend any time on the campus. And we would, as Chaya was mentioning, that everything was done by the students themselves. So there was nothing much there was no interaction with the directors before, or at least not in my student days at least. So here was this guy, and people told us that he's very tough. And we said, why? Now our only aim was to somehow escape the 2 semesters and get into thesis. So I remember one of his first lectures when we entered. So he was talking about, as Chai has explained, that all-inclusive design. You work with the climate, the culture, etc., etc. So we were all attending the lecture. It was a lecture for everybody. It was an introduction, and I clearly remember the last slide that he showed. I don't have the slide, but we have created a slide similar to that in AI. So his last slide was something like this, and the lecture, it ended by saying, my agenda here is to stop people from doing this. And this was exactly our ideas of building, or at least mine. Anyway, we entered the 4th year. Luckily, he was not our professor. And we were given the job, the project of the municipal corporation in the old city of Ahmedabad. We had to do a new design, the large building. Now, what I had designed there was, Pompidou Center had just been built, we got to know, and I had done this massive structure in steel and concrete, which was 50 meters by 50 meters by maybe 25 meters, and right in the middle of the city. There was no way that it would pass the test of Professor Varkey. And I secretly prayed that he shouldn't come for the jury. Luckily, he was not teaching us, but even God wouldn't listen. He came for the final jury. To make matters worse, the faculty had proposed a large model, a class model, which was 8 feet by 4 feet, and we had to plonk our building right in the middle of this. Somehow that model never got completed because it was so much work. And last minute, it seemed very strange that you had an empty board and people were trying to put their buildings on it. And just a few days before the final submission, it dawned upon 2-3 of us. We said, we'll never be able to complete this model. Let us think of a strategy. So from 100 scale, which was the requirement, we went to 500 scale straight. Now 500 scale to 100 scale is a 25 times smaller model. And this would fit on a coffee tray instead of 8 feet by 4 feet. But this was against the class, the requirement, everything. Anyway, a paper model was done. That is the model. We still have some old picture of that. And it was displayed. Varkey came. So drawings were complete, but I was ready for the worst because we had not followed and the building was exactly what he had shown, that he has come. So I knew maybe I am the first victim of his legacy. I explained the major points in the jury. He sat quiet. Once I finished, he simply asked, "You explained the public and the administrative function, but where is the mayor?" So at that time I realized that municipal corporation has the mayor, and we were supposed to, it was the most basic requirement that, and I had completely forgotten. I had nothing in my defense, and I knew that I am repeating this semester. There was a voice inside that told me this. So I just blurted out, I said, "I forgot, but he is the mayor. He can choose any of the cabins as his own. We have a full office block inside." Varkey laughed. He had been there for about 3-4 months and nobody had seen him laughing. This was the first time. I thought this is a sadistic laugh and I am the chosen one for the... And then he concluded. He said, "This is how a presentation should be. Complete drawings, fantastic model," because our model was complete because it was so small. And that's how we should do this. Then we went for vacation. In those days, when you came back from vacation, you would get your mark list. It would be sent home, but we never received at home. I had got top marks, and this completely confused me. So I went to him. It used to be open cabins, like Chaya is explaining right now, that we are sitting in an auditorium which is not our nature. It's against our nature. It used to be all open cabins. He had one of the cabins, and I immediately understood that why he laughed at the mayor issue, because that was not an issue. It was a non-hierarchical structure, and that is how he sat in one of the cabins. Could have been anyone. I told him that you shouldn't have given top marks to me. I had followed no rules, did exactly what you said you won't allow us to do. What's the message you are trying to give to the students? And he replied, he said, "You created an open plaza for the common man, covered it for the climate, left a small mosque and a temple untouched, and building was well crafted. It is the intent that you follow, not the form." Well, I partly understood, partly I didn't understand, but we went ahead. Yeah. Then came the final year, project of our choice. So this was our most, we used to look forward to the project of our choice last year, where you could do anything. Why? Because we were grown up with things like, there was a senior of ours and he had done a brothel for final year project. In the jury, when he sat, any juror who would ask him a question, he would say, "Have you been to a brothel?" I know, because I have been. And the jury wouldn't ask him any questions. This was one. Another senior of ours, he had done a space station. So when he was asked that, what is this material that could stay in space, etc., he said, this is set in the future. By the time we would have the materials. I don't have to think today. But the best was, this guy, another respected, very respected senior architect of ours, he had done a project on the song Imagine. So brilliantly presented, etc. And so whenever he was asked a question, so what is the scale? He said, Imagine. What's the material? She said, to you, the material may be different. To him, it's what you imagine. So this kind of thing, my airport idea looked very, very modest compared to. And then came the bombshell. Varkey announced all final year projects will have to be in the old city of Ahmedabad. So the plane landed in Dalgarwad. So all the dreams were shattered. And it was the first time we went to this beautiful city of Ahmedabad, seeing all aspects of it, which later became the UNESCO city. And small nuances, etc. So, having understood that an architecture like this, development like this, it cannot be created consciously. Because if you follow, you cannot get the streets that we have when you start to think consciously. I tried to, at that time the computers had just come in and we were taught some script, which I think I was trying to remember, then it was called logo script, where you could use that script and maybe draw a square or a rectangle. That's how much we could do. If you spent like 1 hour writing the program, it would give you a rectangle or a square. And then I went to Varkey and I said, see, I have these 10 rules. I think if we follow these 10 rules, these are all mentioned here, it will give us the cityscape of Ahmedabad. No, what should be the width, what should be the height, what should be the depth of the courtyard, etc., all that. But anyway, there was nobody to do it. But it was interesting that he got us into this kind of a situation where we started to look at architecture much more deeply, sensitizing us to the unconscious way of building. So that was the project in final year. Now, after final year, I did my thesis. I went to Switzerland to work. There was absolutely no contact. By this time, Varkey was becoming very, very popular. And by the time I came back, his first true Varkey batch, which means when they entered, it was Varkey. When they left, it was Varkey, had completed. So when I came back, there was nothing. I used to hang around in the canteen. And I don't know. This, I think 2 days back somebody put this up on this picture on Instagram. This is a private picture. I don't know how it got leaked. I mean, to be very frank with you, at this time, I was neither a student of CEPT, nor was I a faculty of CEPT, nor I was a thesis student. I was basically graduate, unemployed youth. Had no purpose, basically. So anyway, that is the time hanging around in the. So there used to be a corner which was full of smoke. All the Chelsea gang used to sit there, and these were the super seniors who would always be found on the campus because they had some subject or the other still remaining. I knew them because I had gone for 2 years and I was back, and so I would hang around with them. And earlier also, I mean, I didn't smoke, but because I used to hang around with them, they had made me the non-playing captain of the smokers gang. And maybe I inhaled passively much more than any of those guys were inhaling. But anyway, I was sitting there and Varkey was passing and he saw me. And he called me out. He said, what are you doing? Yeah, 1 second. Nothing, sir. Just back from Switzerland. They do nice concrete there. He said, I know. Come teach. Teach? Me? I don't know anything. What could I teach? Yes, I know. Then he said, be my assistant. Because the school had already started and he got this form filled because there was no other vacancies because all the teachers had their assistants and everybody. He said, you become my assistant. And I got this appointment letter. This was the first job I got as teaching. And he had made me his assistant in a course called Urban History Settlement Patterns. You know, something that I didn't know anything about. And it was a course started by him. It was an elective course. So we had no prior knowledge as to what he's going to be doing in that course. And Varkey being Varkey, he had each lecture with slides and all properly arranged. It was already set. So there was nothing that I could contribute. And the first lecture that he was giving, again it ended with that same slide. I have come to stop people from doing this. And I knew that I really can't contribute anything here. I went to him, sir, I have nothing to contribute. Can I sit with the students? He said, sure, but don't miss any class. I didn't afford to miss a class because being a faculty, it was a dignified thing. And I could get my room in the I block, which was the postgraduate student block. So it was a promotion because from H block I had moved to I block and a single room. Just few days back I got to know what the students are paying in this hostel. It is 20,000 rupees a month for a twin sharing. I was paying 200 rupees for single sharing, double the size of the room. Per semester, oh sorry, that was per semester, this is per month. So, had this been the case, we would have never become architects. So, I attended all the classes. I think in the history of the school, I became the only student who was paid to attend the classes of this subject. He had pulled me out of smoke, had given me a dignified stature as an essay faculty, and most importantly, with one captive class a week, I couldn't escape. Thinking of another place of work was impossible. I had to be in Ahmedabad, so I started taking part in competitions because I could not think of any other place. Every week I had to be in his class, attending. So, I don't consciously or subconsciously, I think he is the person who made me stay in Ahmedabad, and that has completely changed my life. Now, so that assistantship was over. Piraji Sagra, he used to sit in the basement, and we used to always hang around with him, talking everybody, old, young, student, faculty, everybody used to be there. And then he said, Gurjit, why don't you assist me in drawing and painting? And I thought this was brilliant. So the next semester I went to teach drawing and painting with Piraji Sagra. This allowed me to go to the villages, and I would ask the students to draw buffaloes and the hutments. And while they would be drawing, there was stillness, so you had a lot of time thinking. But then it got 2 semesters like this, and then I went to Varkey and told him again, sir, I am doing only vernacular stuff. Is there anything else I can do for teaching? He said, join Gajjar. Gajjar was this dreaded faculty of the working drawings in 3rd year that we had escaped. I became his assistant. Again, more than assisting, it was learning from him. He taught us how to learn, how to do construction, how to do structures, and being an artist himself, what is aesthetics. So this is what I learned teaching with him. And I think when I look back, when I see, Varkey was actually putting me through these courses so that it's a wholesome knowledge that I acquire from different faculty members. I don't know whether it was happening with some conscious thought or it was just happening, but it was happening. Then after that, institutional design, then we went ahead, and I got the 4th year urban design semester, which was a semester that he had found me first. And this is where I thought I found the comfort zone, and this is the dearest of all the semesters. We ran the slides. So in different cities, making models in chocolates, they're all students' work. Each one has to make different iterations in an urban design situation. So each time there is a some different method of trying to get closer to the reality. Next. And this kept happening for a long period of time. And this is what, so studios in all these places. Also, when we started the PIT studio, the Pan India Travel Studio, it had the similar objective that we were looking at finding what is the architecture for this country as a general, because every place you go it's different, but there are some things, some threads that connect together. Okay, we get to the next this thing, and in practice we were trying to do whatever we could get our hands on. Urban inserts are not easy to come by. And then one opportunity arose. While doing some work for the government, we came to know that Geeta Mandir bus station, which is in Astoria, is up for a revamp. A complete new design with multi-story commercial space on top. They couldn't give such a massive project to a small office like ours. So we had to rope in SEPT for it. I walked into Varkey's cabin and told him the whole story. SEPT could take government projects if they were beneficial to the public. We made our team. I said, Varkey, you have to be on our team. Jayesh was there, Pratyush Shankar was there, Professor Gajjar as an overall looking at all the drawings, and we started to design it. Varkey would come to our office. We gave him a project. We gave him one. So that was the whole complex. You see the terminus buildings, the two in the center, there is this complex next. So there were different buildings, and this was Varkey's building, right in the old city. And in our way, we would just, like the brutalist kind of thing, we would just start from the ground and go straight up. So Varkey was doing this building, and one day he came to us, to the team, and he said, "Can we have an offset at the second floor? Do we have to go all through, or we can have?" We were shocked because he was our mentor. He didn't have to ask us, but he was politely asking as a team. He said it will match the studio darwaja, and you also have in your terminus you have that upper level bus movement. So I had to joke at that time, and I said, "Now it's your time, practice what you preach. You are in the old city, you have to do a large building." And probably, I don't know whether Varkey was doing other projects at that time, I doubt, because he was always at the campus. Maybe this was his last project that he did. After that, the earthquake shook everything up. Absolutely, there was no work. The government decided to shelve this project. It never happened. And after the earthquake, only the government had projects. So we were running pillar to post, trying to find some project, go to Gandhinagar, meet the bureaucrats, etc., etc. And finally, we got to know of a project, which is a very, very large project. There was funding available from the Prime Minister's fund to do around 200 schools in the state of Gujarat, which had been damaged, and a lot of them had fallen. We got this proposal to Varkey, tried to convince him, because it was a very, very large project. It was 500 crores at that time, 25 years back, and in today's term, it is probably larger than the Vista, Central Vista project. All the architects in our school will each have minimum 10 schools to do. We will have international specifications for these schools. It will be a landmark. Students will get involved. It will be real-time hands-on architecture. It's for education, something that you have stood for all your life. You're trying to convince Varkey that he agrees to get this project. Important fact was that such a project would lift us from our below poverty line status, and all the architects would have a lot of work. That was the whole idea. And he just replied, "Go for it if it is you." I think these are the most encouraging words I have heard in my whole life. Somebody who was trusting us with a huge project like this. The letter from the government came. Varkey called me a few days later, and he said, "I'm sorry, Gurjit, the management has decided to have another team for the project. The project had come to school, and he said, I have opted out. You could join the team and take some schools." I said, "Varkey," the words he said was, "I have failed you." I said, "No, Varkey, you missed the chance. When you found the missing mayor, that was your chance to fail me. Now it is too late. And I am opting out too." So both of us opted out. Few months later, I was passing by, I was going back to my house from my office, and I saw an accident. When you see something like this, you slow down momentarily. It's called Shamshan Vairagya. After witnessing death, one realizes life's futility and impermanence, but quickly forgets these profound truths and return to worldly attachments. So you have that momentary thought, but you overcome that. You slow down in your car, but then you start to drive again fast. When I was home, the phone rang. Professor Varkey passed away. Shocked. What? What happened? An accident. And I could just mutter, was it Panjrapol? And the voice said yes. I couldn't believe the severity of the destiny. I had passed him just an hour ago. And soon, we were all outside the mortuary. People were gathering. The police called me inside to identify the deceased. Hoping against hope, I went in. Varkey was very calm. That was the last time I saw him. I signed the identification. Came out, a lot of people gathered. Though she was there, he looked at me and he said, "Saw this man?" I had no words. Clear in life, clear in death. No ifs, no buts. That's Varkey. It was strange because clarity was my thesis title long ago. Maybe I got that also from him. Few months later, the team heading the project at CEPT found it too huge to handle and returned a substantial part back to the government. The bureaucrat called me. He said they have returned the schools, saying they will only do some samples. You can take a few if you wish. I said, yes, sure, I'll come. Thus we got a chunk, some very, very important heritage buildings right in the center of the city, which were left over from the team, to restore and retrofit and also build new schools in tight urban context. So we ended up renovating and restoring these large palaces which were run as schools, and also build new buildings around it to fulfill the requirement of and these were mostly slated for demolition, and we could save them. Yeah, next. Sajuba School. Probably Sangram School is the largest heritage building that was retrofitted after the earthquake. It's a palatial building in Gondal. We did this too. Mongiba Girls School. You see the new building which is wrapping around the old building. Raikot School, which is, we could save this old building and now it is a student center. There are some people from CEPT who are involved in it. And so we could save this. And if you look back, if you look at the map, you will see that they're part of the urban context so much. Sangram School, you have the Mongiba, they're part of the urban fabric in these small towns that we always love to do. Yeah, this is in Ahmedabad at Raikot. I feel this is exactly how Varkey would have wanted us to build. So later we could do justice to whatever he taught us. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you so much, sir, for taking us down the memory line and revisiting those relationships with Professor Varkey. It was a great pleasure listening to you through your stories and experiences. Some of us were never born at that time. It was an honor and a pleasure listening to you. Thank you so much.